I don't think he's ever going to get back to that level of player. Time waits for no man. But what I am confident in is that Joe Witt Jr. is going to be able to maximize what he does, right, and not put him in these binds the way he had to be in at some points last year in terms of learning a new system, coming off a short week, in terms of getting healthy. Remember, the hamstring thing was always kind of omnipresent throughout the year. So I think I have. Let me say this: I have faith in Joe Witt Jr. I have faith in that defensive staff to find the best version of Marshon Lattimore. And even though that might not be the guy that was dominating the league a couple years ago, I think he's still a pretty damn good football player. So that's where my optimism comes, is in the staff. Like a good coaching staff, man, can make it always elevates players, and I think that's what we're going to see here.
I hope he's right, but I do think the first part of that answer about Marshon Lattimore from Logan Paulsen was interesting, if not alarming, that he's not going to be the player that he once was. Washington sent a third, fourth, and sixth round pick in the just concluded April 2025 draft to New Orleans for Marshon Lattimore. They didn't do that in hopes that they could get a player that they could coach up to a high-quality player. They were hoping that they would get a high-quality player that they could coach up to elite level, because he's played at that level previously and not that long ago. Although, to be fair, 22, 23, and 24 were seasons in which he missed 10 games, 7 games, and 8 games. So that's 17, 8, 25 games in the last 3 seasons. He played 7 in 2022. He played 10 in 2023, and he played 9 games, 7 with New Orleans and 2 with Washington in 2024. So perhaps the injuries have diminished his ability, but that, to me, they're hamstring injuries. They didn't make a trade at the trade deadline with the record they had and the hopes they had for the postseason this past year and then future postseasons to get a player that you could coach up to be a good corner. They wanted a really good corner that hopefully they could coach up into an elite corner. He made the Pro Bowl 3 years in a row, made the Pro Bowl 4 out of a 5-year stretch where he was the Defensive Rookie of the Year back in 2017. And there were some really good corners in the league at the time. You had Jalen Ramsey and you had Stephon Gilmore, and then obviously into the league came Surtain and Sauce Gardner. He was considered, if not in that category, just barely a cut below that. That I thought was an interesting comment. I think it was very honest. I wonder if it is a reflection of what they're thinking, that they may realize at this point they're not going to get the guy that was a Pro Bowl corner, for 3 straight years, 19, 20, and 21, and probably would have been so in the years that followed, but he just couldn't stay on the field, couldn't stay healthy. Look, you don't bail on a player that you think can really play well for you, even if you ultimately overpaid for what you got. You didn't get what you thought you were paying for. Corner is going to be really interesting, but so is pass rush. So is stopping the run. Everything they do defensively, we are going to be scrutinizing right from day one. And, in thinking about, their schedule, 3 of their first 4 games, right, are against the Giants, the Raiders, and the Falcons. They've got the Packers in that, week 2 short week Thursday night game on Amazon Prime at Lambeau. And you're going to get Jordan Love and you're going to get, Josh Jacobs and a very capable offensive team. Now, there are players on the Giants team for sure. Malik Neighbors is not an easy check. We have no idea what the Raiders will be with Geno Smith, who inexplicably was ranked ahead of Jaden Daniels on that Yahoo list last week. And we don't know what Ashton Genty will be right from the beginning. We know their tight end is a handful. We do know that. And then you get Atlanta with truly one of the best running backs in the game. And, not a bad wide receiver in Drake London. They had a difficult time, remember, in the first half of that game when they were down 17-7 at halftime to Atlanta. I think in that week, that next to last game of the year, the overtime win. And they could not stop Bijan Robinson. They couldn't stop anybody, but I think he had like 80-something yards in the first half. So they'll have that challenge. But cornerback-wise, they're going to have a chance to shine early. The defense in general, again, we don't know much about these teams, but the defense in general is not starting off with Mahomes, Detroit, and Philly, even though all those teams are on the schedule. Green Bay week 2 challenge. The Chargers on the road week 5, challenge. We don't know what Ben Johnson's team's going to look like with Caleb Williams when they come here for a Monday night game, second week of October. Dallas, Dax upright, CeeDee Lamb, Pickens, that could be challenging. And there is that stretch of, Herbert, then whatever the Bears could be, Dallas, Mahomes, Seattle, and then Detroit, Miami, Denver, with some real capability offensively. It's different than last year, and it wasn't good last year. But things change, man. They change a lot on defense in particular. That's going to be the most intriguing thing. I mean, the most anticipated thing will be, can't wait to see what Jaden looks like in year 2. Can't wait to see what he looks like with hopefully a healthy and motivated Deebo Samuel in the lineup. Expecting Terry back, yes, by the regular season. But that, I think that's kind of a given, that they will be a good offensive team. Maybe it doesn't happen in the electric way it happened super early last year after the opener anyway. But defensively, that's the key to the season. Got to be a better defensive team. I was thinking about something this morning. Oklahoma City winning the championship with defense, because that's how they won it. They won it with defense, is somewhat similar to the way the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Like, you had the NFL and NBA with two teams that in many ways kind of mirror each other. They're tough, they're hard-nosed, they're physical. Now, the Eagles were more experienced, obviously. They've got some age, in certain spots, but not an old team by any stretch of the imagination. But defense first, Oklahoma City defense first. And then they had, a couple of players that delivered big time offensively when they needed it. I mean, obviously Saquon Barkley all year, SGA all year. But there's some similarities in the way the Eagles kind of won their title and the way Oklahoma City grinded their way to their title. All right, Ben Standig is going to join us. He's coming up. We may talk more about the NBA Finals because I know he wants to do that. But we'll obviously talk some football team as well. All right, Kevin Sheehan Show, Team 980, theteam980.com. We're also free and live on the Odyssey app. And don't forget, you can listen to us and watch us now on our YouTube 980 page. Like it and subscribe it when you get there.